everybody, today we're going to be talking about allowing dogs to interact, specifically dogs that have never met each other. So this could be a scenario where maybe you're walking in the neighborhood and a neighbor says, hey, can our dogs meet, right? In general, if I'm training and I'm on a structured walk, the answer is always going to be no. That's just me personally. But let's just say we've got a scenario where we're going to allow an interaction with two dogs that have never met. So first of all, this is going to be best done with trained dogs. So dogs that have a training system in place. Why? Because we can control them better, right? And if something were to go bad, we have a communication system in place. Let's say we misread some body language or we just make a bad call. That happens, we're human. Let's say a fight breaks out, right? We can now hold our dogs accountable, recall our dogs, redirect our dogs onto something else because training's in place. With dogs that are untrained or don't have expectations, that's going to be much more difficult, and you're going to be relying on some other things like using your leash to keep them separate. All right, so we'll kind of show you two different drills. Of course, there's a bunch of different things you can do to get them to basically get to know each other. This will just be two examples. So the first one's going to be like kind of what we call a circle drill. So we're going to just walk in a circle, right? So right now, Aaron's got Sunny, I've got Leia. I'm going to have Leia in a loose heel position. We're not doing strict obedience or anything like that, but I do want her overall focused on me. Aaron's going to be doing the same thing with Sunny. She's going to be in front. I'm going to be behind. We'll go ahead and start walking. Leia, heel. So we're kind of just walking, and what this is doing is allowing Leia to kind of smell Sunny, right? So just get acclimated. And of course, they've been at a downstay here for a couple of minutes in proximity of each other. So again, using trained dogs for something like this is going to be very beneficial because you can do things like that, put them in proximity and whatnot. So after we do this a little bit, Leia is showing some interest in Sunny. So good there. We're going to go ahead and turn to the right, and we're going to just shift this circle backwards. So now Aaron's behind me. All right, so this allows Sunny to check out Leia, right? And you can so bring Sunny a little bit closer. So you can kind of tweak this however you want. If you're seeing good body language or anything like that, you can allow them to kind of come and check each other out, sniff each other a little bit, but we're still in a controlled fashion here. All right, so we'll kind of come to a stop here and then put them back in a controlled down or sit or whatever. Good. All right, so that's one way. So we do this a circle drill. We're just walking in a circle in proximity of each other, letting them kind of check each other out, right? Where a lot of people go wrong is they just let the dogs go face to face, right? And there's all this anxious energy, and it's not necessarily like that it's bad energy, but the dogs are super amped up and the other dog's amped up, and now they're both just coming with this amped up energy. They don't know each other, they don't know who's about what, and then all of a sudden a dog fight breaks out because the energy's not good. This is a good way to kind of bring the energy down, get everybody to know each other, and also set the tone that we are in charge of this interaction, Aaron and I. All right, another option would be just go on a walk, right? So if this one I like, because let's say the neighbor's like, hey, can my dog meet your dog? Well, hey, let's walk for a little bit. You're going this way, I'll go this way with you, right? And so we'll just start kind of walking together. Lay a heel. And we're gonna kind of just be side by side. So again, this is the same principles here. And if Leia were to go over to Sunny, I'm going to correct her, right? So we're just going on a walk like, hey, you just got to tolerate this dog that's in proximity to us. Nope. Good. All right. And so this, again, just is doing the same thing. They can occasionally glance over at each other, see each other, smell each other. They're just learning to tolerate each other. So this is all good. And what I like about the walk as well, but really both of these drills, this gives us time to assess the whole situation. So we can assess body language, we can assess what they're doing, assess their behavior, and kind of break it down, all right? So we're going to kind of turn here and head back towards where we started. But let's just say as I start walking, Leia starts reacting at Sunny. She starts barking and lunging and displaying aggression, right? This would be a good indicator that we're not going to allow them to play, and we got some work to do. And if Aaron and I are friends, which I think we are, right? This would be something that maybe we want to work on the side and do multiple sessions if that happens. Nope. Good. But let's just say we got a nice healthy tail wag, some muzzle nudging behavior, some sniffing, some indicators of play, the puppy bow, different things like that might be something that we're going to allow interact. All right. So at this point, we're gonna come to a stop. That neither of them have shown like super like, especially Sunny has not shown like a lot of like, oh, I want to play with that dog. Leia's shown it more than Sunny, but at this point we've allowed them to acclimate, so we're gonna just release them. So for us that is okay. So we're gonna say, Leia, okay. Now if they want to check each other out, they can. Leia gives us a play bow, Sunny just goes into a downstay. This could be a sign that he's not interested, right? See how he goes into a down? He kind of turns away. Leia's kind of wanting to engage. Okay. So now Sunny engages. And again, right here, we are going to be mindful of what is going on here. So like what we should be seeing is good, healthy play behavior. You're going to see them bounce back and forth between one being dominant, one being submissive, that kind of stuff. We do generally want to start this on the leash, and I'm still leaving the leashes on, right? So if something were to happen, yes, they're a little bit tangled up, but we grab the leashes, we separate them. But overall, showing some healthy play behavior here. And again, like we want to make sure we're supervising this very heavily. So ideally, I would, like, we don't have the option here, but ideally I would do this maybe in a closed-in area like a fence. So see how Leia's now on top of Sunny? Sunny is more in the submissive position. We want to be careful that this is not too overbearing. Let's say it is. I'm going to grab the leash. Leia, come.
Sunny, go.
Nope. Nope. Good. Now I am regaining control. Aaron's regaining control, right? And we can start to set a boundary. So if Leia goes to play now at this point, no, I'm going to correct that behavior. No. Good. Right? We're going to set a boundary and teach them where is too far, right? So if Leia gets on top of Sunny, pins him down, and right here, like it was still consensual, but it could get to the point, let's say he starts whimpering, she doesn't care, she stays on top and is continuing to be overbearing. No, no, good. Then that would be a case where we want to break that up, because now it's not a consensual play, right? One's having a good time, one's not having a good time. So those are things that we want to be mindful of. But once you separate, like that wasn't some great offense that we need to be like, oh my gosh, Leia can't ever play with dogs again. But now I'm starting to teach her a boundary. So now I separate. We're going to go ahead and try this again. Leia, okay, 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 okay. So this time we'll try to stay on the leash a little bit, if we can. All right, so Leia's on top of Sunny. So again, like I don't want to let her be too overbearing here, especially in their first play session. But if she gets on top and is kind of in that dominant position, then they kind of reset, right, and start playing again. That's fine. Those are things that we're looking for. It's when she stays in that position and Sunny's looking like he's not having a good time, or he's struggling, or he's like, hey, I don't like being here, right? Or at any point he's trying to get away and she keeps pursuing. That's when we're going to kind of cut it off, right? So right here, like pinning Sunny down, this can be like a dominant behavior. But again, I'm just letting it play out, see how it's going to go. She likes to be in this dominant position, so that can be something that we're taking note of, right? We just want to be very careful. It's not that it's a bad thing. It's just something that we don't want to put Sunny in an uncomfortable position. All right, so letting them play for a while. Now, let's say we're going to end this play session. We're going to go our separate ways. So now we just do the same thing we did the first time. First, got to get them untangled. Leia, come. Nope. Good. Leia, down. Nope. No. Good. Now keep in mind, this is a high arousal event for them. They're having a good time. Their arousal level's way up here. So imagine too, a dog that's untrained. No. Good. This is going to be much more difficult. So you can see how difficult, especially with Leia, she wants to play. She's getting amped up, right? And I'm putting her under control. This is causing a lot of frustration. So even with a dog that has training, it can be difficult to manage, right? But a dog that's untrained is going to be even more difficult to manage. So that's just another component to think about. So if you have an untrained dog, before I get to the point where I'm going to have dogs play and interact with my dog, no, I'm going to focus more on getting that dog trained up, all right? So, but that's just one example. We're going to show you a different example here shortly with two different dogs. All right, so we've got Aura and Nitro here now, and we're not going to hold them to any expectations. So you can see they are kind of into each other here, right? So this would be the scenario where we're just neighbors, we encounter each other, excuse me. And now my dog's pulling, her dog's pulling, they want to play, but let's just say we don't have control of them. You can still do the same thing. And a lot of people, a lot of even trainers will, there's a lot of controversy to doing this on the leash. They'll say, hey, just go take your dog to the dog park, let him be off the leash. The leash causes frustration, which sure, there is validity to that, right? But my argument would be if the leash is causing my dog to become reactive or aggressive or anything like that, then we got some other work that we need to work on before we get to the point of letting dogs interact. All right, so we're going to try to do the same exact drill, but we're not holding them to expectations. All right, so Lexi's going to start walking. I'm going to be behind. We're just walking in a circle. So again, even with dogs that we're not holding to expectations, ours trying to take me to Nitro. Hey, I want to engage. And overall, this is already telling me, right? Like, hey, she is interested in playing with Nitro. We saw Nitro doing some kind of play bows, right? So like that's telling me, hey, he may be interested in playing with Ara. If we had to take between the two of them, who's most interested? Probably Ara here, right? And so that can be things like, hey, maybe if Lexi's my neighbor and I'm watching her dog, I don't know anything about her or her dog, right? I might be looking at Nitro saying, he may not be as interested in this interaction as my dog is, right? So I need to be ready to interact with that. All right, so we're going to go ahead and switch up the circle. So now I'm turning. So like notice, like as we just start moving and walking, now again, these dogs are trained, right? We're just not holding them to any expectations. But as we start walking, they're kind of like leveling it out on their own, starting to go into a heel position, right? So again, this just speaks to that initial energy that could be very, very bad. The way that Ara was going at Nitro, it was all playful. She's like, hey, I want to play, I want to interact, right? But some dogs don't appreciate that energy and they're coming face to face and she's coming like with all that ball of energy, right? That could cause a dog to get aggressive and want to correct her or fight her or whatever. All right, we'll go ahead and transition into a walk here. So just start walking side by side. So again, in this scenario, all right, okay. So again, in this scenario, your dog's not going to be in a perfect heel position. They may be going out to the side, but I'm going to set it up to where they still can't get to each other, right? But this is, again, telling me things, right? I'm looking at their body language. I'm looking at the tail positioning. Ours tail is up. Nitro's tail is up. We're taking a little potty break. And then I'm gauging their interest in each other. Nitro is looking at Ara, right? But not necessarily being as playful as she is. She's kind of like wanting to go over there and hang out with them, right? Which again, that's showing us that they may be good playmates. They may, right? All right, we'll go ahead and turn. I'm gonna walk, head back. Now, if you've got a strong dog like Ara and she's not trained and she's a leash puller and wanting to pull, like I might be keeping a wider berth. I might be coming a little bit further away from Lexi and her dog, right? So that if she's pulling on the extent of the leash, she still can't get to that other dog, right? And if the other owner doesn't have as good control, I might even go even wider, right? And then at a certain point, if I'm seeing like the owner does not have that good of control, I might call it off and say, hey, they don't need to interact, but maybe we just keep doing some walks together, all right? So at this point, we're gonna do just like we did. We're gonna release them. We're gonna stay on the leash, kind of be mindful of our positioning and everything. We'll just kind of see what happens. All right, okay. So Ara goes straight for Nitro. Nitro is kind of being playful, but he's also kind of like backing off a little bit, but he gives us a bow, a play bow, that's good to go. It's like what I don't want, like Ara is having me, like pulling to the extent of the leash. I don't want to keep constant tension during this play interaction. So I'm kind of following with them, letting them do their own thing and trying to not. It's going to happen because of the speed at which they're moving. Ara goes in, she backs off. So like this is a little bit of, like most likely if they were off the leash, this would be like a game of chase. So one would chase the other, Nitrous wanting Ara to chase her, right? So this is not necessarily like a, hey, I'm trying to get away, because see how he comes back. So see how he runs out to the extent of the leash. Let's pull him back over this way a little bit. Nitro's running away, but then coming back. He's running away, then coming back. So it's like he's kind of playing a little game with Ara. So like I said, if they were off the leash, this would be just a game of chase. And if we felt comfortable, right, and especially if we have dogs that have a level of training in place, right, we could take the leash off at this point and just let them do their thing, right? Let them play, let them interact, and then if things go bad, again, we've got training in place. I know. All right, heel. So again, that's another one of the reasons you don't want to have a whole lot of tension on there, right? It's not good for them. Down. Good. But it does build frustration, right? So again, because there's controversy in introducing dogs on the leash, they say, hey, there's all this frustration. That's going to make the dogs more aggressive towards the other dogs. Like there is a little bit of truth to that, right? If dogs got all this crazy energy, pent up energy, or wants to go say hi, and I'm just holding her back and not letting her do that, it becomes frustrating for her, right? And it's coming from a place of, hey, I want to interact and play, but I'm not allowing that, right? So things could happen like her redirecting, coming up the leash, trying to bite at me, or getting aggressive towards that dog, or that dog getting aggressive towards her, because we're just adding a lot of frustration. But from a safety perspective, it's better to do this on the leash so that I can separate things, right? Again, I'm gonna focus more, if I'm having those types of issues where my dog's getting aggressive or coming at me up the leash, when I'm trying to do these types of drills or sessions, play sessions, I'm not doing these play sessions. I'm going back to some training stuff so that we have some other work and priorities that we need to work on before we do things like this. All right, so in my opinion, doing these types of things with your trained dogs, doing it on the leash is perfectly fine and in fact safer for you. But these are just some examples of how I would introduce dogs that have never met each other, get them acclimated in a healthy way. One thing I did not mention is that we typically will do this in a neutral territory, right? So this could be your neighborhood. It could be even further out than that, like a park, but I probably would not do this in, like I wouldn't have Lexi come over with Nitro and we do this in my backyard, me and Ara, right? This could be her territory, right? And so there could be territorial things going on. There could be a whole bunch of other things going on. So we do this in a neutral area where neither dog has a stake, and then we kind of go from there. But that's just two examples. There's many ways that you can do this. Proximity under structure is key, right? So not allowing that initial interaction when tensions are high, when arousal is high, just letting the dogs be in proximity of each other, get used to each other, a chance to sniff each other, all that kind of stuff. Then we go into the interaction from there. All right, hope this is helpful. You guys please like and subscribe. We'll see you next time.